Could you tell her more about the relevance of the teaching book, the Relevatorium, for her and her path and mission?
This is for the future self, the work that we were just talking about.
Oh, very good. Why has she chosen to stay when she has been told that her work was done and that she's been told she can leave on several occasions?
Number one, she is a vessel of the codes. And her presence on the planet keeps the codes in a way that's more than if she was not here. I just say she is the only one, but she does add to the 100th monkey scenario.
Understood.
Had fulfilled her contract. She had done all that contracts because she then took on others. And then the other part is she is a watcher. It is part of that future self observing how things unfold. It is another way of continuing to not only collect knowledge and data, but also to be a communications conduit for about what is going on the planet, so that the temperature is constantly being taken.
Oh, very good. So she's a watcher of the light, and she's adding the information that she's watching into the sort of like the living library that relates directly back to source.
Yes, that, but more for current events, monitoring the progress of humanity.
She was wondering before we began about the councils that she's in and what actually takes place in the councils or the communities. Could you elaborate on that since we're speaking of?
Yes. She, the one that work relates to the work of the Watchers, is the Council of Nine in Arcturus, which works with the records of humanity and is part of the decision-making team for what humanity will accomplish, be able to accomplish what they qualify for.
Oh, very good.
The Council in Orion is about energy and gateways and keeping the gateways open to the higher dimensions and to other aspects of the light worlds, both towards Earth and away from Orion to the great central sun. It is what her soul's primary work was when she came to the cosmos.
Oh, very good. Could you elaborate on the great central sun? It's said a lot, and so many people have so many different ideas of what it actually is, and I'm really happy that you brought it up.
Yes, this is something that she constantly is wanting clarification for as well. The great central sun is the throne for this creation story, and there are many creation stories. It includes the omniverse as humans are able to know and understand it. But within the great central sun, there are other central suns, such as your Milky Way has a central sun. That is the portal a portal, a gateway to the great central sun, as Orion is a gateway to our central sun in the Milky Way. And your sun is a portal to Orion. But there is a certain pathway that the energy river flows. It's the conduit that the codes flow through, out through creation, just like acupuncture meridians. Meridians break down into nulls and voids and nodes. And life exists on vibrant nodes. All of creation is part of the creation plan, but much of it is unqualified with the higher codes.
Thus the processes that it goes to qualify.
Yes, and the great central sun is where the unknowable prime creator resides.
Oh, very good. I was waiting for that. In order to qualify, you qualify via experience?
Via density.
I mean, yeah, density experience, I meant to say.
Via density.
Oh, very good.
Once you return to the great central sun, you must understand that your consciousness is totally absorbed. And so, again, as creator, wanting to play and experience, that isn't really the goal, ultimately, unless that soul, it is erroneous to think of absorption into the great central sun as a part of creation.
Because that's the true oneness and true unity.
Correct.
Without individualized consciousness or expression.
No, nothing. She was put through this experience.
Very good. How often do we join back with Source and then at one point decide that, well, Source is constantly creating itself anew, is it not?
It is not creating anew because it is.
Oh, very good. So what about the expressions of Source when they go into density?
They no longer, well, when they go into density, they become fractals or fragments of experience. But if they do get absorbed into the great central sun, think this through, that energy no longer exists. Don't go.
I do understand what you're saying. I meant to say into density first, and then they can create themselves anew over and over and again, over and over. How often are souls actually reconnecting with Source?
They touch it, but they, because this is beyond my pay grade, but based on when they go, if that great central sun ever reaches its end, they would all be absorbed and go into a different creation story.
Okay. Not to say that there's anything unconnected to Source at all, but we're just speaking about density, and so very good. Amazing, wonderful information, and we're very thankful and grateful for the information that is coming through. Right now, that is part of this work. How does it have to do with her voice, Linn's voice?
That has to do with her future self as well.
Is this her future self in this in her linear expression as Linn, or beyond?
Voice is very powerful for here, but what she's fearful of with the voice is creating incorrectly in the mission of the star.
But it's not possible for her to do so, is it?
No. But mistakes have been made. When the vision is not clear and not well defined, then there's room for distortion.
Thus meaning
And
she has more work to do? Would that be accurate?
no, this is her work with her higher collective and working together in unity to create this thing that's never been created before.
I understand. So is it in her human expression where the fear emanates from as opposed to her higher expression?
Yes, she is one who's been able to destroy with sound in the past.
Oh, very good. Very, very good. Now, what is the importance and relevance of her personal Stargate?
This was brought to her by us for her to assist others, but to bring the codes and anchor them in the particular geography that she is in as part of the chain of the star tetrahedron around the planet.
Oh, very good. And when you say we, when you represent yourself as Horus is a collective, would that be accurate?
Yes.
And what makes up the collective of Horus, if you will?
The collective of Horus is the lineage that works with and carries and molds and fashions the codes, even beyond 7D. As the ones who brought it to her actually were 11th dimensional. We are.
Oh, very good. And what is her connection with Hank or Henry Jones II? We're doing this together. How was she led to me or guided?
For the next level of work, as sound lions roaring, he came to her through the passage of Lion's Gate. It is when they planned to connect. They have worked together on many, many projects and are working together on many projects. She is a carrier of codes for him.
Could you repeat that again, please?
She is a carrier of codes for him.
Oh, very good.
They both can teach each other. It is to bring together, an attempt to bring together the communities who will create those zones of light for the education of humanity.
So Linn is a teacher as well, is that correct?
Oh, yes.
Does she resist that teaching?
Yes and no. She is very much a natural teacher, but she constantly is striving for group connection versus leader and teacher and student connection. So that has been something that she has aspired to, but has oftentimes been put into because she is a teacher and her voice does shift. But it is part of that higher goal of group consciousness that she is one who is trying to create on this planet and is encountering much difficulty doing so, as she was advised she would.
And I just had another question just to clarify. You said you heard lions roaring.
Yes, the Lion's Gate that we just passed through, the lions, think of their roar, they change the vibration. And vibration is sound. Sound is, of course, the word. whether it's
Absolutely.
spoken word or the written word. They they are codes, and the word is codes. So he came roaring through during the Lion's Gate, and she shared with you her name is Lioness. So there is connection there.
All right, thank you
This,
for that. I wondered once she told me her story, and it was so amazing how we were connected and to see that we've worked together before. Um, very, very good. And also knowing we're on some of the same councils and communities. So, with that said, she feels her teachings are to help prepare humankind for ascension and the as a foundational education after the ascension, during the ascension, or not.
both.
Oh, very good. And is the work on the soul rays and initiations on target and relevant?
This is understanding that will help the souls that are ascending choose their next level of assignment. It also helps awakening souls to understand their beingness and to be able to reconcile not only their gifts, but also their challenges that they encountered through their lives.
Ah, very good. And is she correct in thinking that her teachings are not for those who have not awakened or recognized the complexity of the ascension and the diversity of the souls?
We have covered this. Writing the books at a basic level will help awaken further, although those that would pick up that book would be already awake, but maybe not conscious. Like,
Understood. I know sometimes that with the questions repeat or what have you, and we actually spoke about that before, but I just
yes.
like to be thorough.
And it will come through for those that are further past. They will be written on multiple dimensions, but
Uh,
focus on being able to reach the newly awakened.
Very good. You're already asking the questions before I've even gotten to them, and I'm really following you now. Could you tell her about the relevance of the meetup group, the Soul Evolution, Ascension, and Beyond, or CEA and Beyond?
This group we asked her to do because, first of all, Nashville is an important portal on the planet and gate to try to establish, again, group consciousness that is aware of what is going on with the shift and to start with the new energies that have come through and have anchored to see how well they spread through the consciousness of those that she has connected with physically as well as through the Facebook group. It was also part of the watcher responsibilities to see that, and as, again, an attempt to see the readiness of a localized human group for group consciousness.
Oh, very good. And what more must she do to prepare personally for ascension?
She must take the brakes off.
And how was she putting the brakes on?
She holds back because, again, her work is to be present, and it is hard to be present as a human and take the brakes off. It is also, some will take the brakes off, and that is their particular path. Hers has not been. She would not have stayed.
Is she worried about what others around her, how they'll perceive her if she took the brakes off?
Maybe 10%. It is not a big factor.
Oh, very good. But the best thing to do is to just take the brakes off. And she understands that. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
She does things that, and it is painful for her to stay in the physical.
Is this more mentally and psychologically, emotionally, as opposed to physically?
Yes.
Understood. Pain, I mean. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, understood. But you're doing everything that you can to help relieve that, I'm sure. Is that correct?
Yes. She visits, experiences the sorrow. She is one of the things that we've worked with to get her okay with is, as you have questioned, those who are left behind.
No, very good. And with that sorrow, it can be very motivating then.
It is motivating. It's also, she
And take a long, slow, deep breath. Inhale deeply. And feel the relaxation moving through your body as the connection becomes just a little stronger. Loud and clear. Take your time.
So the breaks have been because she has also been adjusting to the realization that not all will choose to go towards the light. And that this is okay. This is also part of the plan of creation. It is a choice each soul can make and must make. The hope is that they will go towards the light and become a part of the light worlds. And as we have told her, there are those who will work with those who have chosen to go the other direction.
Is it not true that all roads lead back to source and that eventually in their own time that they will achieve this anyway, even if it's not with the planet and through this particular process?
Yes, but think of all the terror and persecution and murder that goes on in this planet. Many, by not awakening and making the choice, will be experiencing more of that.
So it's in our understanding that as we shift into this higher density, those who are awakened and ready and aware with the intent to shift into this higher density, those that are sort of left behind, even though there's nowhere that they're going except for from one density to another, will still be, it's in my understanding that they will then leave the planet Earth and maybe or their expressions will incarnate in another place, in places where they can be healed, in places where they can continue a 3D existence without the negativity and the drama and the low vibration that is here. So is that correct?
And they can choose the drama.
Oh, and if they choose the drama, are they choosing the drama out of free will or out of because they're lost and they're amnesiac and they've been manipulated and programmed so much to where they can't escape it?
They are given choices. All will be given choices. They will have to choose. There is a new term of service to self versus service to others. They are both paths.
Oh, very good. And then with that understanding right there, does it make it much easier for Linn to be able to take off the brakes and still move forward?
Yes, and to move forward and to understand that her work is with both of them. She does need to try to awaken, continue her work, trying to awaken those that are under service to self that she encounters.
Understood. Very good. Um, well, yes, that's the reason why she stayed, because she has a desire to help. Defining ascension. So many people have so many definitions of ascension. Could the collective of Horus please define ascension for us in this moment?
Yes. Ascension is a gradated process. And there are, just like, again, we will use the analogy, you don't graduate elementary school till you've gone through kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade. There are paths, there are not paths, there are levels within levels within levels. And so ascension is that process of moving up through those levels, but there are major graduations on that pathway. The major opportunities, and there are certain ascension jumps, if you will, that can only take place in certain times and spaces. So when we speak of ascension from 3D to 4D to 5D, well, again, we're talking about frequencies of consciousness and moving more towards unity consciousness, collective consciousness. Prior to a major shift from 3D to 4D, this is what the initiations are. The first initiation of awakening or birth. The second initiation of the baptism. The third initiation of the transfiguration. The fourth of the crucifixion. And these are also, can only be accomplished by a third density level when the light streams are available to go into the higher initiations and literally make the shift. For instance, those that are ascended masters 7D may not make that shift until, it is very rare to make the shift until all of the energies are lined up.
Ah, very good.
Ascension,
I'm sorry.
Ascension is complicated than, again, the vernacular of the New Age, which speaks of mostly conveys, and therefore they literally stop the ascension process because it is ongoing. It is just like in the mystery schools. You had to go through those steps, and you had to be conscious of those steps. It is easier now. It does not take a lifetime.
Understood. And you said that it has to go through certain space, certain energies in space. Are you speaking literally, like right now we're traveling through, our social system is traveling through a very, really high vibrational area in the galaxy? Is that?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And also, just an interesting question that just popped into my head. You know how we always say cloud nine? Cloud nine. I'm sorry, I was thinking of cloud 7, but you always hear of cloud 9, and never mind, I'll just stick with what you asked me here. What is the meaning while in meditation that the door is closed?
That had to do with the hope of what the, quote, New Age culture or religious path would create. It was closed because they got lost, as all of the religious press, in the ego streams. And they were actually creating more harm than good. This is not something she has been willing to share. It also related to the role that America would play on the planet in terms of the original dream and plan as a beacon of light unto the world. She made decisions and steps, meaning the people, the decisions they made. And this was in 2012 when she was told this summer. Decisions had been made by their collective consciousness through what they were creating through their culture to where they could no longer be that beacon of light. And that has transpired, has it not?
Well, in terms of the door is closed, the door is closed on, would you say, religious communities? I mean, are you speaking of Catholics and...
No, speaking of the New Age, the light workers, those that were speaking of themselves as light workers.
And when you say that door is closed,
as a religious path to be able to shift the world's consciousness, that opportunity was gone.
So are you basically saying that the ascension process, and then you also said that this is something that she didn't want to share. What would be the point of writing the book, of doing all those things? Has there been a group of people that are entities or souls that have already ascended, and we're all that's left behind? Is that what you're saying?
Not an ascension door that was closed.
Oh, very good, very good.
It was there. Think of a lighthouse shining light.
Yes.
They had made decisions as a collective, not all workers, but as a collective, decisions, and what they were teaching in the paths they were showing were not the paths that lead to 5D.
Oh, very good. And, believe it or not, I totally understand that. Okay. Thank you very much. And was she right in interpreting the information that she received that the New Age community had failed in their mission to awaken humanity, or that particular group?
Yes.
And so about the remainders of those who are still in this community, or apart from this community, such as you and myself and many others who are still holding light and still shining our beacons and writing the books and doing these sessions and everything that we can in order to get them through the portals and these gateways.
They are being given the help and given the resources. The bad thing is that they could have gone as a collective group, such as the power of the Catholic religion. If they had pushed through the ego and the judgment and the elitism, they could have reached so much more so easily. They could have done a world focus. And now, none of that work, the positive work, is negated. There has been a reset, if you will, and bringing them into the things that they resist.
Understood. And like in the very beginning of this, you said that there were outside forces and manipulations that had taken place that reinforced the negative agenda, so to speak.
Yes.
And how does that play into, because it was against our free will, was it not?
We all agreed to it.
Okay, so it was within our free will and we chose to do it. And so, okay, very good. So it makes us all responsible for what's going on right now. Very good. Now, you defined dimension and density earlier, and thank you very much. That really was brought home for me. Could you validate and expand for us this understanding of soul evolution, initiation, and ascension?
The soul evolves. The soul is a fractal. There's many levels. Kabbalah has taught it. Indigenous teachings teach it. Certainly, the religions teach it in some form or manner that the soul evolves. The New Age community and the Tibetans and the Hindus understand that more than others because they accept the various ascended masters versus Christianity and even the Muslims. Somewhat Christianity with the saints and the Catholic side. But each of those beings that have been recognized as being saintly, really those that are on that what we would call the ascended master path, who have achieved different levels of evolution in the soul. With that comes different levels of responsibility for the masses. If you have done any studying and connection with the ascended masters, while they connect with us individually, their work is with the collective, and they are always have an eye focused on the collective and bringing in their unique piece of that tapestry of the collective to create a whole garment. And so the soul evolves from the moment it is first incarnated. That is what many do not understand. It continues to evolve through the good lives, the bad lives, the in-between lives. It is always on an evolutionary force of some sort. The question is always, what is it aligned with? First, the first decision, if we're working, let's say you work with chakras. So from the first chakra, it is at the evolution. A soul that has just been incarnated needs to learn to survive in a 3D matter body and has all the trials of being a human, learning survival on a day-to-day basis in whatever milieu they are in. Very, very tribal because, again, survival is more easily accomplished when we're in a tribe. So therefore we see cults, we see gangs, we see groups. Families work from there as well. And that the soul evolves to the emotional level, and then the mental, and then the heart, which is really where the initiations begin, when you have made that heart connection. And then that's when the understanding and the emotions and everything have been built enough that it makes sense. Why here? Why now? Why choose this world of duality? What has the soul been brought here to learn? What more does it need to learn? what more can it bring to the party, if you will, in terms of understanding density. We are the lowest level of sentient free will, as you have said, in 3D. We are as removed from the throne as you can get without becoming an animal, a plant, or a rock.
I was under the impression that those who came to physicality were very advanced souls who had what it took to be able to manifest, and in a scenario where they somewhat have an amnesia to their connection to source, and a really strong emotional connection, stronger than any other entity in this probably universe. How off is that? Because we say we're the lowest or the closest. I just feel that we're highly evolved to be able to have what it takes to be able to manifest here.
Some, yes, highly evolved, came into this third density skin sack to learn to master matter and all of the complications that have arisen in this zone of creation.
Very good.
There are souls that originated here who have not had lifetimes in other realms. They were the Adam and Eve story, a spark that was dropped in. And so, again, it's learning as a soul from being originated in this experiment of Earth, that, and being of Gaia versus being of Andromeda or being of Orion.
So this is literally your next question, and it's out of the way it just comes together. What we would consider a new soul versus an old soul.
Yes, they would be new souls.
Oh, very good. Earth origin souls versus cosmic origin souls. This is amazing information. We're very blessed and happy to have the opportunity to really get these questions that so many have desired to get a better understanding of. How is Lynn's body doing now?
She is fine.
Oh, very good. Why has she recently been led to gain the understanding of the world of the Cabal and or Illuminati, for lack of a better word, and also the off-world forces? Why she seems to be called to teach about it and spread this awareness?
This is one of her spiritual gifts that she has been reluctant to connect to. It is work that she has done in many lives as part of the office of Michael. She is aware of all that. She does not consider herself a warrior, yet she is a warrior. And her weapon is truth. As an observer, she was seeing that this mantle was not being taken up. Because this is a world of duality, and until one knows and understands the extent to which they have been led down that negative path of service to self, they cannot ascend a positive service to others path. And so when we say there is no evil, or there is no darkness, you right here, these things do not exist. What you focus on, you create. Well, I mean, again, this is also because those they are and are being controlled to stop flow of information.
Had you ever thought that those who say that are aware of the information and they say unconditional love still scenarios, but don't focus on it? Should there be a focus on it?
How do you win the unawakened?
Oh, very good. Very, very good. We've had this before, and amazing, and very good. That's exactly, that's what I always would say when we have certain people bringing out certain information. Alex Collier, it's good that they bring up the information because, first of all, it's exciting, and it draws you in, and then, as you continue to listen, more love and more light is coming into these conversations, and you're making different supposed to go run away house, go and find out, and I work. So,
yes, that's where it comes in. Yes. No charge. When someone says, I just love you, I just love, that is a judgment. Because many times they are assuming the other person's incapable of that level of love. And that is a negative charge, is it not?
Very good. If you can elaborate on that, I am going to go and grab the cord to re-plug this in to make sure we don't run out of energy.
Yes. It is a judgment, but it is also fear. If Christ stayed and said love, did he go amongst the darker forces and shine a mirror of their actions? He taught the disciples on neighbors and they or mastering David, Archons, they do exist. And even 16, there's still darkness within the light. And recognizing that and shining the light on it is the only way to transform it. And that would be love, but it would also, light is, we always talk about light and love. Love is the current. It's the alpha and the omega, the masculine and the feminine. So we oftentimes trip out of the way out of that water. And if we don't acknowledge the duality as a master, those around us that are unawakened are drowning in it, where is the mastery in that?
Very good.
They need the light to see what is going on. They need the knowledge. They need the understanding. And David, I and this Alex Collier do not have easy jobs that they have volunteered for. The Jews do not have easy jobs volunteered for.
Totally understand. Thank you very much for clarifying that. And we have had this discussion before, but you put that up brilliantly, and we're very grateful for that. Also, distance of the workers are concerned about these issues due to interference of negative forces.
It is on many occasions, yes. And or not done the work of clearing their fear. It is like chakra free.
And that's why they're able to be manipulated maybe or interfered with by having cleared that chakra.
Again, did not be frightened to demons. There was a fear.
Absolutely.
And part of his work, that is the work of the office of the Christ. That is what salvation is. It is what redemption is. He came as a savior into the darkness to shine the light. And that meant he had to go into those darkest places and be loved and to recognize and call out what was stopping the light and the love from flowing through the hearts of humanity.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent. We are very, very grateful for the opportunity to come together like this and receive this information. And I know that Linn will be very, very much appreciative of all the information that has come out. Now is there anything else that Horace would like to share or the collective in this moment before we move from this position here?
All contain the code to be or do whatever you want to be or do. All are sons and daughters of God. Just like there is a big brother and a little brother, a big sister and a little sister, a mother and a father. All souls are evolving. All souls are at different places, but that does not mean they are less. And then the soul recognizes that. That is when it truly becomes sovereign, because it recognizes its own divinity. And that is the work on the planet now, is to bring as many souls as possible to that understanding of divinity and that divine spark. That is their soul aspect that's within.
Excellent. And thank you very much for that. And I have just one question that I'd like to ask. I'm very interested to know, Horace, being a bird-like figure and having blue and indigo colors in the feathers, would Horace be representative of what we have been told as the Avian, the blue?
The Avians are the angelic. It is part of the angelic lineage. And yes, he is. And the Avian beings that are here are of that, again, with many different levels of responsibility. And yes, responsibility and task. But he is an Avian. He is not one of the original builder races that were here. The Avians that are here speaking are connected with the original builder races, actually very, very instrumental in the evolution of humanity and its consciousness in this zone. Horus is part of that, but beyond that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It makes very good sense. Well, we're very grateful for that, and we're very thankful. Now, let's drift away from the scene. We're drifting, floating away from the scene, leaving everyone there on their path to continue there on their journey, and they will find peace. We're leaving them to continue on their journey. Now, I would like all the consciousness and personality of Linn to once again return to the body and fully integrate back into the body. May I speak to Linn's subconscious, please?
Yes.
I have permission to speak to Linn's subconscious.
Yes.
I respect the power of the subconscious because I know the subconscious takes care of Linn's body and does a very good job of it. I also know that the subconscious has the records of everything that has ever happened to Linn in this lifetime and all the other lifetimes that she has ever lived. So I respect the power of the subconscious, and I always ask for permission to speak to it and ask questions. Do I have permission to ask questions?
Yes.
I know the subconscious could have brought forth many different lifetimes for Linn to see today. You chose to bring forward this life for her as a young boy in a jungle with a golden pyramid. Why did you show her that particular life?
It is what Gaia wanted her to see. the pristine, vibrant life and connection to the higher realms. It represented the grid and her responsibility as that pyramid was her coming to the planet to set up the life systems.
Oh, beautiful. And then the next life that you showed her was that of a queen of the Nile. Well, we just used the word the queen of the Nile, but she was in Egypt, the country. Why did you show her that particular life?
She has been Egyptian in many lifetimes and always involved either with the royalty or the priesthood. It is because to remind her of her having done that work. This has been a continuation of that work. And to acknowledge her frustration.
Oh, very good. So by her seeing that particular life, has it helped her in any way?
Yes, she was somewhat aware of that life anyway, but didn't really understand why, and now knows about her work in awakening the souls, helping them, as she's trying to do now, to discover the divinity within.
Ah, beautiful. And she left the place briefly. She left each life that you've shown her really briefly. I mean, quickly. She was there. She was able to focus in, and then she then was greeted by Horus. And what was the purpose of showing her her connection with Horus and the collective?
She is because she is of the Avian lineage, the angelic lineage, and it was easiest for her to receive that information from him. She's worked with him. He actually showed himself in her first Reiki attunement. And so this was very familiar with her. She actually was able to meld into him.
Oh, very good. She obviously had a really strong connection because the words just flowed from her very smoothly and very brilliantly, I might add.
Yes, yes. It's, she
Is
actually knows she has wings.
beautiful. I was told that I was a part of that group as well.
The other
Could you call? Could you say that again, please?
the other connection with her, you carry the codes.
Ah, very good.
Through the
Very.
wind moving through the air that the codes are able to be sent out and shifted and charged.
Excellent. I would ask you now, could you please scan her body with your loving unconditional light, and could you tell me anything that she needs to know that she could possibly focus on, or just reinforce her aura and spin her chakras? Is that possible?
She knows what she needs to do. She knows that she would benefit from fasting as she has done before, for physical cleansing, but also for deeper, higher connection.
Oh, very good.
That will handle anything that is somewhat distorted at this point.
And while you're working on her, may I ask one last question?
Yes.
How is it that she and I, or is it that she and I are supposed to do any type of work together, or is what we're doing here now a part of that, what we would consider work?
What we're doing now is part of the work, but there is also, it is time for a gathering of beings to go to the next level of creating the academies of light on the planet. And so connecting those that would be or could be involved in this work is part of the energy stream that is circling the planet now. They will be areas around the planet.
Do you have any feedback as to how this will take place, or anything that you think that we need to know, or is it just us in knowing that to send unconditional love to that scenario? But you speak of an urgency, so
It is that, yes, it is established in unconditional love, and when that is done, it is into the grid. It does not need to be sent. Again, the unconditional love is foundational. It is the matrix. It is the background. And so by all means working on being that love. But these academies, again, are more about accelerated training of the soul for what it is going to encounter. And making sure that every soul, much like the Christians with their message that they got about being missionaries around the planet and spreading the word of God, these beings that are being called into action now are like those missionaries that have the word, have the understanding of who we are, why we're here, where we're going, what the opportunities are. And the energy is here, is coming, that will lead those that are seeking to them more readily than in the past. Literally becoming stronger beacons of light. And the reason Hank was brought in is because he has this non-fear of understanding the whole human experience and coming to the place of being able to explain, you choose this path, this is what is in front of you. You choose that path, this is what is in front of you. You make the choice. There is no judgment there. And that is indeed part of his work. And that is what these schools will be as well. Because if someone is drowning in the chaos, however that may be manifested, whether it's poverty or perception of lack of abundance, because Americans do not know what poverty is truly.
Truly.
Perception of lack of abundance, abuse, up to including, murder, etc. These things have to be acknowledged and healed. And how can that happen if they are not focused on? How can a do that? How can a healer help if this is not focused on and recognized? And certainly not by saying you need to be focusing on something else, because that consciousness, it was a real experience for them. It is a real experience. And so being able to look at that experience with no charge, positive or negative, because all things do happen. This one, Linn, had the experience of in July of 2001 at a sun moon dance. And she was dancing for a vision which an elder had told her was waiting for her. A 4-day dance for which she was not prepared. Many prepare for years for this, and she had 6 weeks. She went to this dance to get this vision, but not wanting to do the dance. When she got there, knowing she was not physically, she had not trained, did not think she would be physically able to dance. This was in the high desert plains in Colorado, where you dance 24 hours a day for 4 days with no food or no water. So she did not feel like she was adequate to that task. But when she learned that once you received your vision, you could leave the dance, and continue it in silence in your own teepee with food and water, she thought she would be the first to leave the dance, and was like, okay, I can do this because I'm not going to be able to do this dance. She ended up dancing the whole dance because she was not allowed to collapse, which is typically when one receives a vision in a dance, is upon the point of collapsing. But she is an energy conduit, so there is no way that she would run out of energy, but also others were using her energy for their various purposes to stay in the dance and receive their badge for completing the dance. That does not mean that she did not get her vision. She received the vision as a 4-day conversation. During that time, she was told about 911 and that it would be happening in September. She did not know what was going to happen. She just was told there would be a major event that would shift the consciousness of the world. And she was being asked to make changes in her life to accommodate this and her work after that event. She could not understand why she had to do those changes if this major event was coming, because she was being asked to become a colon therapist and to start a healing center in Nashville. And she was trying to figure out why, if there was a major event, thinking nuclear bomb, comet, something hitting the planet where everyone would be in survival mode, why they would be interested in cleaning out their bowels. And she was told that it was just the first event of many that would be used. But not only that, her question was, why are you doing this? Why is that necessary? Because she was on that pendulum that all was love, there was no need for negative things. And God said to her, how else do I awaken them? They do not pay attention to the other things. So when we disavow those things, they are tools that He, even though they are of the negative aspects, and we're being planned by the negative aspects, sure, the higher forces could have came in and stopped them, but they did not, because of our free will and the plan, but also because they were able to use those as tools of awakening. And so as we see things get darker and darker on our planet, the hope is that there will be enough, whether it is the 500 that you talked about, or the 144,000 which others mention, or the 144, but that whatever that number is for the 100th monkey, that they will suddenly be able to see that there is light and they can choose, and many will. But there will be some, as she learned in this dance, who will not make that choice.
Understood. That was a mouthful and an earful, and very pertinent, and we are very appreciative for this information. How is her body now?
She is doing good. She's an energy conduit.
And have you finished scanning her body?
Yes.
Is there anything that she